Hello and welcome to another episode of Fundy Tidings. I'm your host, Jay Remer, and with me today is Tony Cooke. Tony is the chairman of the Mental Health and Suicide Awareness Team for Charlotte County. Welcome to the show, Tony.
Thank you.
Suicide has certainly become an issue, especially in the last 20 months or so since COVID has arrived, that has elevated along with many other mental health issues, but suicide has become a topic of interest in the community. Mm-hmm. And you are one of the people who is spearheaded a number of initiatives, and so I thought maybe you could tell us a little bit about this awareness team and what you do and how we can become involved.
Sure. Well, the Mental Health and Suicide Awareness Team is made up of people from around Charlotte County, about 12 people, and they are absolutely dedicated to awareness, prevention, mental health. Just brilliant people, dedicated, give all their time to it. I'm so lucky to have such a great team.
So is the awareness team for Charlotte County, is it made up of volunteers or professionals?
It's mostly volunteers. We do have some CMHA members on our committee.
Okay. And as I understand it, actually, that's part of the requisite for getting funding from the government is having someone from CMHA on your team.
That's correct.
Right.
Yeah.
And for those of you who don't know, CMHA is Canadian Mental Health Association.
Correct. Yeah.
So, and Charlotte County has its own
That's right.
branch.
Yes.
Okay. And so what does this group do, and what resources do you have, and what opportunities do you have, and how can we become helpful?
Well, we do have a small budget, and we work in the community to try and bring awareness, bring speakers in. Our pole banner campaign is a big project, is part of that. Mostly awareness, and people can get involved by reaching out to any one of us on our team, me, Lisa Cheney. They can reach out to be involved, and we can guide them in how they can help. And you know.
And what are the challenges that you found to be the most prominent ones? I know, for example, because I'm on a committee with you, that there are two main focuses. One is on the person who is under stress and considering suicide, and the other is the support team that they have, and the parents, and how do we deal with the root cause of all of this. So how do these groups handle both of those prongs?
Well, I mean, we have groups that are working on immediate action on how to get people help, steering them towards help, people who are in immediate crisis. And then we have other groups that are focused on the long-term changes, trying to change things like living conditions and family situations, wealth, all the aspects that could lead up to suicide. Mm-hmm. So we have long-term solutions, we have immediate solutions that we're working on. And
what are the challenges as an advocate, for example, that you find people requesting from your group? For instance, where are we stuck?
We are stuck. It's very difficult in our province and in our community if you're the person advocating for someone who, for whatever reason, won't seek help themselves. To try and get help for them is a challenge, because most of these helplines like CHCO and mental health would rather deal with the person who's in crisis.
Right.
And rather hear from them. But most of the time, people are advocating for their children or their adult children, and it's very difficult. Like you meet roadblock after roadblock. You get a lot of, sorry sir, we can't help you. Please get them to call us. Mm-hmm. That's not a solution.
Right.
It's a challenge that I hear on our Facebook group. Messages I get constantly, how do I help my adult son? Mm-hmm. he won't help himself. What do I do? Who do I call? It's very limited in who you can call, and it's a big problem.
Yeah, I mean, it seems so. It seems so frustrating because people who understand what people are going through, the level of stress someone must be experiencing if they're considering suicide, would make it impossible for them to think rationally and to just pick up the phone and say, gee, I've got this problem. So it's an unrealistic expectation on behalf of the health department. So what do most people do?
Most people will go to the ER. They'll try and get their person or that they're trying to help to go to the ER. Another huge challenge. People are being sent home from the ER constantly, and then they're suiciding after they're sent home. And groups like ours and the other groups in our community are really working to try and change that. Make sure that if somebody openly states that they are suicidal in an ER or emergency room, there's no way that person should ever leave that emergency room without talking to a mental health professional. But that's not the case.
Right.
Sometimes it is, most times it's not.
Right.
And we hear that from in our group. I get messages that said, I took him to the ER, they sent him home. And people are dying because of that.
Yeah.
You know.
It's a very sad situation. Tony, tell me about this pole banner campaign and what you're trying to achieve by that.
Yeah, the pole banner, Melissa and I, my fiance, we come up with this design and this idea and it come from a few posts in our group where people said they didn't believe their community cared about them. So they didn't come forward to help. They thought with the stigma behind it and they'd be ridiculed that they wouldn't come forward for help. So we had the idea that we would make a banner, and it's to look nice that towns would put up, and in the colors of suicide awareness, purple and teal, and that this would send a message to anybody on the fence for getting help that their community cares about them. So it has the provincial suicide hotline, CHCO, and then it has a Canadian one. And we've also included the kids' help phone for text. And whatever area they go up in, the last number we include is the mental health and addictions services for that area for them to call. And of course, 911 on the bottom. But this has been so successful. It's going right across the province, Fredericton, St. John, Granby, Miramichi. It's just incredible. And it's just showing that these communities really want people to know that they care. And I think it'll do that. For some, it'll do that.
I think it already is helping.
Yeah.
What I'm wondering too is how are the schools getting involved in this? What kind of contacts are you making, and what kind of feedback are you getting?
Well, the superintendent for ASDS was at our pole banner unveiling in St. George. And I had a long talk with her about it, and they are very, very concerned, and they're very interested in partnering with us to bring more things to the schools, more education to the schools, you know.
And where can that education come from? In other words, do they have to rely on the Canadian Mental Health Association, or, I mean, there's limited resources.
There is.
And that, I guess, is a major problem.
It is, and as I understand it, the school board does give training, assist training, applied suicide intervention training to the admins and guidance.
And that, so just for people who aren't aware of the assist training, that is an organized program that's delivered by Canadian Mental Health Association. Is that correct?
No, it's actually delivered by, well, it is, yes, but there's different groups that give it. It's a company called Living Works that produces this, and then CMHA has trainers. They have them in Charlotte County, St. George, St. Stephen. We also have other groups like Gregory Zed and Lorraine Pollock in Sussex and St. John who offer these, and we even have Elizabeth Eldridge from Arpeggio. She offers these.
And what does that program actually do for people who take it?
Well, it's a 2-day course, and it does role playing, and it also gives you techniques of how to talk to somebody who is in crisis. Mm-hmm. It's not meant to be a counseling session. It's meant to take somebody from crisis back to a more calmer state to try and get them to the help they need, mm-hmm. right? So it does work. I've used this mm-hmm. successfully, and it does work. And the more people we can get trained, the better our community will be.
So I know that some of the assist trainings are available for free, but most of them aren't. And
most of them
so would this be something that we might advocate the government to subsidize more fully so that more people have access to it?
Yeah, I mean, it's a private company that puts this out, so it does have a cost, but there are people who are raising money and we in Charlotte County, through Charlotte County Won't Be Silent, have been given seats in St. John for these courses free. And fundraising, like Gary Brown Sr. in St. John does a I'm All Ears Reach Out campaign. He has a red shirt, some people wear these. And all the profits from that go into St. John and area to put people through training through Assist. Mm-hmm. And he does reach out when they have openings and gives us seats down here in Charlotte County. Mm-hmm. If we could raise more money to get more people involved, and it's a life-saving tool, but mm-hmm. it's expensive. It's anywhere from $150 to $200. It's a 2-day course, mm-hmm. but
it's not expensive when it comes to saving people's lives.
Right, but for some who would like to participate, it can get.
No. I'm not saying that it's not affordable. I'm just saying it's not expensive.
Oh, yes.
And what I think is that the government could be lobbied to cough up the money for anybody who wants to take the course. Because imagine if 1,000 people in our region took that course,
right.
how much stronger our community would be.
It'd be incredible.
This is a no-brainer in my way of thinking.
And the other thing they have to go along with Assist, that's the big one. That's the 2-day intervention. They do have a suicide awareness course called Safe Talk, mm-hmm. which is, I think, around $40. Mm-hmm. But this Safe Talk, in my opinion, should be given to all teachers so they can recognize immediately the changes in students and what's could possibly be a suicide crisis.
Right.
Right?
Well, I think that students are one demographic. Mm-hmm. They're not the only demographic, though, that is affected.
That's
so
right.
it could be expanded to employers and other people that are in charge of people.
That's right.
So that they can raise their sensitivity to be able to spot when someone's in trouble.
Yeah, in the workplace, big companies, even small companies, like if they have this training, they can find people who are in crisis before it gets out of hand, right?
Because a lot of people who may be struggling do it very silently.
Very silently.
So you need to have the tools to detect that kind of thing.
Yes, and in schools in particular, I know go back to schools, but in schools in particular, there's a couple studies out there that I read that 80% of suicides among youth, their best friends didn't know that they were in crisis. They didn't know that they were suicidal. So we need to somehow get into the schools and foster a movement of it's okay not to be okay, and to encourage peer-to-peer conversations amongst the schools. And the school board is working on that, and the principals are working on that. And that's a big thing to get into our schools, to get that kind of movement going. Once kids start talking to each other and letting each other know it's okay, we will reduce youth suicide.
One of the points that we wanted to talk about is the actual number of groups, the increase in the number of groups of volunteers and service groups and so forth who are dedicated or who want to become more dedicated to helping, because they see this as a as a real weak link in their community. And many people, I don't know anyone who hasn't been affected in some way by suicide.
Right.
So could you talk to the number, about the number, or not the specific, but the kinds of groups that are interested in Charlotte County, and how we as viewers might be able to become involved?
Well, right now it's very exciting, if it can be exciting, but it's very exciting that there's so many people in Charlotte County, our small little area, that want to be involved, who recognize the issue that's going on with suicide in our community. And we've got our group, the CMA, or Mental Health Suicide Awareness Team, Charlotte County. And Christine Lanneman has formed, as a concerned citizen, the Charlotte County Suicide Strategy Team, which is made up of mayors and me and you and CMHA, EMTs, RCMP, council members. It's just incredible. And then we have, just a few days ago, I had a meeting with, our team had a meeting with the Rotary Club in St. Stephen, who sole purpose for that meeting was they want to be involved. How can they distribute whatever we need to get out there? You know, it's just incredible to see that many people in this small community wanting to be involved. And if anybody wants to be involved, they can contact any of those groups. And I mean, they can, I'm not sure how they contact them, but they can contact them through our Charlotte County Won't Be Silent. You know, send us a message, we'll get them hooked up with the right people.
So Charlotte County Won't Be Silent is the name of the Facebook page that you started to as a platform for people to engage in conversations, debates civilly about this topic.
Right, and it stemmed from when I lost my son to suicide, the efforts we put in to try and get help for him, and the failure points were out of this world. And we decided, Melissa and I decided, that we were going to start this group to say we're not going to be silent, and we want to bring awareness to mental health and suicide, and mostly give people the right information to try and get help. And they not only get that from the numbers that we post, but they also get it from members. And we have 1,400 members now in Charlotte County. And everybody wants to help. So they will reach out, and the comments that people get, I've been told, are so helpful to them and leads them in the right direction. And we also bring up things that are bad, you know, and wrong with the system, and how they can be fixed, you know.
Well, I think that it's clear that there are improvements that are possible. There are no systems that can't be improved upon.
Right. Yeah.
This happens to be one that involves life and death.
That's right.
So for many community members, it has a higher priority.
Yes.
But it's also one that is attached with a lot of stigma. And it's a very highly emotionally charged topic, and people are not educated in how to engage in that kind of a thing without completely losing it. And so what I'm wondering is, you have an upcoming meeting, a think tank meeting. And that, so what I'm wondering is what that forum, is it a closed forum? Is it open to the public? And what kind of discussions do you anticipate?
Well, it's a closed forum. It's made up of members of suicide committees from St. John, Sussex, and Charlotte County. Professionals like forensic suicidologists, Gregory Zed, and thinkers like me and our group, and then Gary Brown Sr., all the work he's doing in St. John. Mike Murphy, he's doing great campaigns with signage and stuff in St. John. So we're Brandy McHard, she's the chair of the St. John Suicide Prevention Committee, and she's called this meeting to just get all the groups together, to put our heads together and see where we can all support each other in each area. Because instead of focusing on just Charlotte County, we're doing our own thing, but we're also bringing in St. John and Sussex. And when they have great ideas, they're going to pass them along to us. So the three teams working together can't be a bad thing, right?
No. And it's wonderful. It's very encouraging for people who live here to see that this is in the works.
Yes.
And you're hoping that from this think tank meeting that there will be some proposals to the Department of Health and so forth. So this crisis group is going to get together and come up with some proposals for the Department of Health and so forth. What are the major concerns that are communicated to you from the public that you think we can find solutions for fairly quickly?
Trying to advocate is the biggest question I get. Who do I call? How do I get help for my adult child? I think that can be fixed by getting companies like CHCO to have accountability, to be able to provide all the information that parents need to do that. Yeah, there's a lot more. I mean, I'll know more once we get through the meeting on what we can do.
Well, I'll certainly invite you back to talk about the outcome of that meeting.
Yeah, be glad to.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. So in the meantime, Tony, what is the best way for people who are watching who may have some immediate concerns what is the best thing for them to do right now?
For themselves or for somebody else?
Well, that's a good question because it's for both.
Yeah, we do recommend CHCO if you're in crisis, if you're willing to call them, they will help you. I'm not saying they won't. As far as advocating, just keep trying.
So be in touch maybe through the Facebook page?
Through the Facebook page, we can get it through the Facebook page, and I get a lot of messages about, I've been trying this with my son, or I've been trying this with my daughter. And through a lived experience of my own, if what you're trying and the way you're trying it to help somebody isn't working, then my best advice is to reach out to mental health and counselors for yourself, because your way is not working. Right. And they may be able to help you find a way to reach that person you're trying to help, right? It's a difficult thing to do, especially for old school parents who, I know my son, I know my daughter, I know what they need.
That's right.
And they don't always.
Well, this is one of those issues, Tony, that is not going to be solved overnight.
No.
And not everyone is going to jump on the call a counselor, because there are not the counselors available. Yeah, but I think that this is a great jumping off point for future discussions. And I thank you so much for coming on the show today and sharing with us your insights. And I thank you for watching today, and I look forward to seeing you on another episode of Fundy Tidings.